everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about shadow work and a specific aspect of shadow work, birth work. I wanted to make this video because it was just recently my birthday, and my birthday is something that is pretty complicated for me. I definitely get a pretty intense case of the birthday blues. So with my birthday having just happened, it had me thinking about the aspect of shadow work that has to do with your birth. And I wanted to share with you all how you can investigate your birth and how that impacts your life. But the way you come into the world has a big impact on who you are and who you become. And also the patterns that you see recurring in your life can be very strongly related to how you came into the world, how you were birthed. So this video will be all about investigating your birth in this life and how it impacts your life as an adult. And at the end of this video, I will be sharing a ritual with you all that personally I love to do that is of my own creation. Before we get into more of today's topic, I want to remind you all to please subscribe to my channel. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. If you guys follow me on Instagram, then I can communicate with you guys more and I can ask you guys questions and we can have more interaction. So follow me on Instagram so that you can stay connected with everything that I'm doing. And I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers that I've gained recently. I hope that my videos continue to be helpful. So let's talk about birth work. If you can hear a cat purring, it's Giles, he's in my lap. The idea behind birth work is that the way you come into the world sets the tone for your life, and oftentimes if you analyze the way you were born, you will find that there is a recurring pattern in your life because of the way you were born. And I'll give you an example with the way I was born later on. But also an aspect of birth work is the idea that previous births that we were a part of, either as the child being birthed or even as the mother giving birth from past lives, those past life births can have an impact on your current life also. So if you know how to work in the Akashic Records, you can open your Akashic Records and ask to be shown past births that you've been a part of from previous lives, either as a mother or as a baby. They might show you beautiful births that were peaceful and lovely and filled with love and very easy and everyone was healthy. They may show you births that were not so good for whatever reason, either as the mother or as the baby. So it is a big concept that these births stay with us and they're not something that we can just move on from. They're not something that we grow up and forget about. Yes, we can't remember being birthed, but our body remembers being birthed. So that's where this shadow work comes in, where if we analyze the way we were born and how it impacts us now, maybe we can move beyond that pattern that was set for us at birth. So if you want to, you can explore past life births that you've had. That's something that I've done in my studies of the Akashic Records through Linda Howe's Akashic Records certification program. So that is very interesting, and if that's something that calls to you, then you can learn to work in the Akashic Records and ask those questions. But today we're going to be focusing on your current life birth and how that impacts you. So, for example, to help you guys understand how your birth can impact your life. The way I was born, I was induced. So I wasn't late or anything. It's not like I was medically induced because I was way past due and I wasn't coming out. My mother had me medically induced because her doctor was going to be out of town when I was due. I was due in early March, I believe, and my birthday is at the end of February. So I was induced before my due date because my mom didn't want to have a random doctor birthing her baby. Which is perfectly understandable. You're comfortable with your doctor. Birth is a very intimate process and you don't want just any random person in that room with you when that's happening. So I completely understand her choice. And remember, when we're doing this birth work, it's not about blaming anyone. It's not about calling your mom and saying, "Why did you do this?" or "You should have done better." It's just about exploring how things that have happened impact us. So we're not putting the blame on anyone. We're just analyzing the facts. So I was induced before my due date, but the birth itself was very easy. My mom had me, I'm pretty sure within 6 or 8 hours. It was a very short birth. I was a very healthy baby, good weight. My mom was perfectly healthy, no issues. It was very easy birth, but I was induced before I was ready to come out. And that choice of coming out and that choice of being born was not mine. I was not ready to come out. I was still cooking in a way. I wasn't ready to leave the womb. Leaving the womb was not my choice. Leaving the womb was something that was forced on me by medication. Birth was induced. So for me, the way that shows up in my adult life has been that I often don't feel ready for things. I've often felt like I've had to grow up too fast. I've had a lot of things in my life happen that are aside from my birth that have made me grow up too fast. But even from being a toddler, I've always felt older than my age. I've always felt like I had to be ready for anything, and in charge of myself and independent and able to deal with whatever comes at me, even if I'm not technically ready. So oftentimes I feel like I'm playing catch up. I feel like I'm not moving fast enough. I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm wasting time. I feel like I should be somewhere and I'm not. And all of this stems from this birth where I was told, you're being evicted, and I wasn't ready to come out. And before I say this next part, I again want to reiterate that I am not blaming anyone. I love my mother. No parent is perfect, and like I said, I completely understand her choice to not want to have a random doctor delivering her baby. Another way that this birth impacts me is that there's this endless feeling with me of abandonment. Like the people that are supposed to take care of me can't necessarily be counted on, simply because I was told to get out before I was ready. So all these things are recurring patterns in my life, feelings that live within me that I have to work through and deal with. So you can do this with your own birth. If you're able, you can ask your birth mother, whoever that is, if you have the ability to talk to them, how it occurred, what happened. Ask them to tell you everything about the birth if you don't know already. If you were adopted, that's something that you can also investigate, because adoption is kind of, in a way, a second birth. You're being born into another family. Even if it's not a physical birth, it's a spiritual birth, because you're being added to a part of the family, which is really all birth is. You're arriving to a family. So do everything you can to get information about your birth. It might be harder for some people than others if you don't have access to your birth mother to ask these questions. That can make it a little harder to be able to discern exactly how your birth impacts your life. But again, if you work in the Akashic Records, you can ask the Akashic Records to tell you stuff about your birth in this life if you're unable to get that information from the person who birthed you. So that's another option too. If you, for whatever reason, can't get that information, you can open the Akashic Records and ask, what was my birth like in this life? And they will hopefully be able to fill in the holes for you and provide that information. And if you want to know more about the Akashic Records, you can watch my video on the Akashic Records, which I will link above and below. So now I'm going to share with you guys a ritual that I've created, that I've been doing for a couple years now, that is centered around birth work and your birthday. So you can do this ritual on your birthday, or you can do it every month on the phase of the moon that you were born on. So I was born in a waning phase of the moon. So when I do this ritual, I do it during the waning phase of the moon. There are things online where you can even look up which day of the moon cycle, so you can get even more specific than just waxing, waning, full, new. You can get specific to, it was the 18th day of the moon cycle. It was, so you can get even more specific than that and do the ritual on that day. But you can do it on your birthday or on the phase of the moon that you were born, or both. For a while, I was doing this ritual every single month on the waning moon. I was doing this ritual. And then also on my birthday. Now I do it from time to time, depending on how I'm feeling, because I created this ritual to deal with my birthday blues. I created this ritual to make myself feel like I deserve to be celebrated and like I deserve to be alive. I've struggled with a lot of mental illness in very dark times in my life. I was severely bullied at the end of high school, and so that created this feeling in me that I am worthless and that no one cares about me and no one's going to celebrate me, so why should I celebrate me? Also, I had 2 sick parents growing up, so there wasn't a lot of space for celebration. When you have sick parents and you're young, it's not like they tell you to stop taking up space or tell you to not need anything, but there's this understanding that as their child, you don't want to put more on their plate. You don't want to make their life harder when they're battling a serious illness. So as a teenager, I really felt like, you know, if someone asked me, do you want to celebrate your birthday? I would say, no. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to bother anyone. I didn't want to add more to my parents' plate. And on top of that, the bullying started. So those 2 things combined just made me feel like, still to this day on my birthday, there's just this feeling of deep, deep sadness. So I created this ritual to help me deal with that shadow aspect of myself, to help me like my birthday again. Because when I was young, I loved my birthday. I mean, you're supposed to love your birthday. It's the day that you're celebrating you. So I'm trying to get back to that place, slowly but surely. So you can do this ritual every month. You can do this ritual just once a year on your birthday. It's up to you. On average, I would say I do it probably like every 3 months, and then I also do it on my birthday. But it ebbs and flows depending on how I'm feeling. But for this ritual, all you're going to need is a birthday candle and a journal. And you're going to start out by sitting in your sacred space, wherever that is, where you're not going to be disturbed for the ritual. And you're going to settle your energies and prepare yourself for ritual. If you want to, you can call in any beings or deities or entities that you work with. If you work with deities, if you work with angels, if you work with spirit guides. And then you're going to set your intention of wanting to explore your birthday and the way your birth impacts your life. And you're going to do this by lighting the birthday candle and then spending a few minutes. You can either close your eyes and meditate on the concept, mull the idea over in your head, or you can keep your eyes open and stare at the birthday candle flame, and mull it over that way, meditate on it that way while you stare at the candle flame. I do both. It's not like one is better than the other or one is technically more advanced than the other. You're meditating either way. And sometimes I like to look at the candle flame of the birthday candle simply because it helps me remember my intention, and helps keep my thoughts focused, because I'm looking at that birthday candle and I remember, okay, that's my intention. I'm thinking about my birth. I'm thinking about my birthday and my feelings around my birthday and why I feel that way. So with this ritual, I'm surrounded by 3 cats. So throughout this ritual, we're not only getting into your birth and the origins of that life pattern from your birth, but we're also getting into, throughout your life, all your birthdays. How have those impacted you and how do you feel about your birthday now, having had all those birthdays and being the age that you are now? So we're dealing with both. So once you've meditated for a while, you can start journaling whenever you want. Maybe you're having a lot of insightful thoughts while you're meditating and you immediately feel like, oh, I gotta write that down. So start journaling whenever you feel called to. And you want to be asking yourself all those questions we've talked about. How did my birth impact me? How have my birthdays over the years impacted me? How did I feel about my birthday when I was young? How did I feel about my birthday when I was a child? How did I feel when I was a teenager? How did I feel as a young adult? Ask yourself all those things. Ask yourself if you've had, maybe journal about the best birthdays you've had and the worst birthdays you've had. Just really get into all that shadow work, all that shadow self. And again, with your birth specifically, we want to think about, were you adopted? Were you induced? Were there health issues? Did your mother have health issues after your birth? Did you have health issues? Were you premature? Were you late? Think about all these things with birth. And you can also think about the phase of the moon that you were born on. There are a lot of people who believe that the phase of the moon you were born on says a lot about who you are and what your life will be. Some people are born on the full moon. Some people are born on like me, I'm born on the waning moon. So think about also how the phase of the moon impacts who you are. And maybe you had a really easy and on time and beautiful, simple birth. Journal about that too. Journal about how that impacts you. And then shift to think about, how did this birth set the tone for my life? Is this a recurring pattern that I see for myself? Like again, for me, the recurring pattern I see for myself that stems from my birth is that I don't feel safe very easily. I feel like I'm always behind. I feel like I'm moving too slowly. I feel like I'm late to stuff. All those feelings, I just feel unsettled at all times because I had to leave the womb before I was ready. And then start to analyze, how are those feelings still within me? And how can I help myself to heal those feelings and rise above them as much as possible? And then once you've spent as much time as you want doing this, you're going to thank whoever it is that you called in to be present if you did that, and you're going to snuff the candle out. If you cast a circle, then you'll close the circle and your ritual will be complete. So that is what I have to share with you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoy doing this ritual and that it's helpful. I know it's helped me a lot with my birthday issues and my shadow work, so I hope that this helps you guys too. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Blessed be.